What's up, my precious little pack, and welcome back, and here's the showcase of hitting the 40. You're going to take a bit of repair time because I noticed all of them focus on one, and again, I don't have battleships to deal with them clustering up. You're going to be hitting Hive 40s, you're going to have to hit a lot of them to advance. But due to the low build time of the fleet, you're going to be able to produce plenty of these fleets. Where it takes me almost a month to build a single fleet, you should be able to build 2 full fleets of these. And you're going to be taking, as I did when I was advancing, you're going to be taking repair time. How much repair time depends on the type of fitting you have. I have shielding on mine. You could ditch the shielding and go for an entire armor build. It's your choice, but for me, I use level 2 metaphase shielding on these ships. The goal is simple. Close in, kill your target. How much more simple could it get than that? Well, it doesn't. And as all of you can see, I'm using my standard high-level deployment. I'm setting all the ships up in a general area, except for I'm not turning the carrier around to run. Not a chance. He needs to help them maneuver once you get in close. Then you ditch the carrier. At this point, I could recommend that you actually do not have a shielded carrier, and I'll strip mine of the shielding just to keep the repair time at 30 minutes. But your point of this is, you need to get your primary attack fleet in the range very quickly. The reason I've chosen cruisers over cutters is the damage of the low-level Hive fleet is just enough where they'll eat a shield off of a cutter and tear it apart just because it does not have the amount of armor that a cruiser can have. And these, as I showed, are all armored and heavily armed cruisers. Each one has thermal beams or heavy missiles that were researchable. And here's what the missiles are for on approach. And the drones, well, these guys, they're mostly easy to deal with and kill. As you can see, thermal beam, it just basically wiped them all out. But the reason I'm not ditching the carrier yet is because I still need it. For up close and personal, once you're in close, that's when you want to ditch the carrier, right around here. Well, actually, you want to ditch it right around the time that you start getting shot at by the Hive. And you want to more or less use it to strafe. You want to go like this. You want auto target to make sure no one is shooting at a secondary target. And watch how quickly that Hive melts. Look at that. Gone just like that. And as I said, you can do any number of carrier fittings. You can do no armor, low armor, or you could do a larger shielding fitting. But this is why I'd recommend taking 2 battleships in with you, because they eat squadrons alive. And the repair time varies because depending on the target the Hive wants to attack, your repair time will vary. This is going to be a little bit under a 7-hour repair time fleet once I have it fully fitted properly. Well, actually, it'll be around an 8-hour, because some of these ships don't have the max set of armor this one has, but each one will be about an hour and 30 minutes. Then you have to take into consideration battleships. They're going to lower the repair time much more. My fleet that I'm using right now, that's a fairly good amount of repair time. I'll kick it off. I say anything under an hour for this case because you're going to need to be able to hit plenty of them per day. In the course of the 24-hour period, it may seem impossible, but that's where the advantage of having multiple fleets comes in. You break one fleet, you go out with another, and that's what I actually used to do. I actually had a battleship group and the cruiser group, and I'd mix the 2 together, and I'd have 2 separate fleets. When I break one, I'd switch to the other and break them both. I'd just log off, and I'd log back in at a later time and repair them both. So, you know, for breaking stuff, you just fix it when you don't need it. And each Hive is only worth 2,000 points, so it's minuscule, because you'll have to destroy hundreds of them, literally. But your goal isn't to get high-level tech, it's just to be able to get a taste and get used to fighting them. Your goal is actually, well, it is to buy tech, but not high-level tech. you're going to want to go for low levels. You're going to want to try and get harmonic exophase shield level 1. You're going to try and get the basic things. So by the time you are ready to advance and you have the power to get the ships and stuff like that, you have the fleets to earn the points. That fleet, as I showed, as it was attacked, I'd be able to go through about 4 or 5 of them like that, because they target random ships in your group, so the damage will be random each time. The carrier can go through about 5 of them. Even if it's dead, all you have to do is just repair it enough to launch it, and you're good. But the goal is to make sure that you can get at least 10,000 points per fleet that dies, but you want to lower the repair time. So you want to make sure that you have them max mark upgraded, because as you saw, mine was a fairly low repair time on the ship. 1 hour and 26 minutes, except for it got right up in there and brawled, and that's only using metaphase 2 on the ship twice. You could easily drop one metaphase down to level 1, and then boost the armor and have even more armor, and have a much tankier ship.
Your directive, sir.
And it'd allow you to go through a lot more of them, and this is how I actually advanced. When I was first playing against them, they have been buffed since I was fighting, but this is the same strategy. I literally just moved up and fought them and brawled with them. Because that's what I do. I take the damage, I brawl with most of the fleets. Whenever you can strafe to avoid them, do so. And I didn't set my ships up properly there. You want to leave a little bit of spacing between each ship, just enough so that when you start being fired on by the main weapon at close range by the Hive, multiple ships don't get hit. You want to have each ship strafing as well, so that not every shot it fires will hit your ship. So you only have to worry about drones. But this is where battleships come in as well, because while your main cruiser group destroys the Hives, you could easily have your battleships covering them and your carrier just by simply turning them sideways, having them all in the range arc of each other so that they cover your carrier, each other, and your cruisers to keep squadrons off of them. But that's the video. The repair time is, as I showed, it's not as low as it could be for the fitting that I have, because I could have increased the shielding of the carrier, or just gave it a little bit more armor. But the goal isn't to survive the fight, it's to be able to hit plenty of targets before your fleet dies. A 50 wipes out this fleet fairly easily, whereas the 40s, you can farm them for a while. I haven't hit the 45s, I'm not too interested in finding that one out, because this is just for Tier 3 fleets. Tier 3 with a Tier 2 carrier in this case. And you can easily swap your squadrons on your carrier to much lower range, much higher damage ships if you want. For squadrons, so if the squadrons actually do get onto the target and do damage without being blown up by AoE and stuff like that, you should be able to do so fairly easily. But I hope that'll help you low levels advance, and the repair time of the fleet is only 8 hours, so you'll be able to use it at least twice a day, so you'll be able to get about 20,000 per day, which doesn't seem like a lot in turn because it's all so expensive, but when you have more than one fleet, when you have 7 fleets, that 20,000 per day, well, that 10,000 turns to 70,000. And then you repair one fleet, you get 80,000. That's enough to start buying you the level 1 drones. And as you slowly advance, you don't have to have so many ships in your fleets. You can have extra ships as well, so you completely destroy a fleet and you've destroyed every fleet in your group. You can just pull the ship out and toss another in its place. And this works with Tier 2 battleships as well. You can take them in with the group as well, but I recommend the Fury because the extra firepower it has with the additional weapon slot, along with being Tier 3, means it's going to be a low build time compared to other ships, and you'll still be able to produce multiple a month. But I have plenty of fittings I'm going to be showing off, and this is just the thing for the low levels, as I said. But that's going to be it, everybody. If this helped you lower levels and you want to see the fittings for lower level ships, or if you want to do a shotgun fleet, what I'd recommend is, actually I'm going to show you what I'd recommend. For the fleet, if you really want to destroy them quickly, you're going to want to farm up a very specific blueprint. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. Where's the burst ray? Right here. You're going to want to farm up the burst ray, not the turret, but the normal version of it. Where's that? right here. You're going to want to farm up the normal version of the burst ray because of its high damage and it's a shotgun. So you want to get up close and personal with the hives, exactly like what I was doing. These do more damage than the thermal beams, so you'll have to change the fitting and have a little less armor on your ships, but they'll be able to destroy squadrons and the hives just a little bit more quickly because they have shotgun spread. You can equip the same thing on any number of ships. An alternate fitting would be using... where are you at? The Gatling Ray, and attaching it to destroyers due to its lightweight and decent range, not as good as it could be. Because, I mean, compare it to, let's say, Thermal Beam, which is down here. It outranges it, it does a little less damage. But attaching it to destroy... Actually, if you can get your hands on the Impulse Beam, that's another good one. And it has excellent range, decent weight. You'd be able to use Tier 3 destroyers. I actually have a few of them. Fully mark upgrade. I could refit these. But the goal would be just, or more or less, for certain fleets, outrange them. In the case of these fleets, I prefer to brawl. But I hope this helps you lower levels. It gives you a little bit of hope, because theoretically, you shouldn't be able to use Tier 3 at all against them. They should just outdamage you, but with a heavy enough set of armor on your ships, under the shielding, you can fight fairly well. And with the shotgun fleet, I think it'd be more effective, because it'd clear squadrons a lot more easily, as well as destroying the hives once you close in. So I'll try that fitting next for a few of the ships and stuff like that. And I'll do that probably in 2 weeks or so, because this should be about the time I finish my next ship, get it fitted, and then finish. So expect that, the next test fleet for lower level combat, in about 2 weeks. But that's going to be, that's going to be about it, everybody. That's the attack. That's more or less what I do. I keep the ships together on approach to clear squadrons. You could easily dump the carrier and trade it for an additional cruiser or battleship, so you could have 3 and 3, or 4 and 2, or 4 and 2 in the reversed way, so you have 2 battleships, 4 cruisers, or 4 battleships and 2 cruisers, either way. I hope it helped. I really do. Because it was what I did to advance, and I fought for a few hours at a time, because I would typically spend 3 hours in the game a day back then. I would spend an hour and 30 minutes in the morning and an hour and 30 minutes in the evening to farm. And now that it's on a daily set, you should be able to get weapons that improve over this statistic of what I've come up with more easily. So let's see what all of you can come up with. And that's going to be it, everybody. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really helps. And as always, everybody, I'll see you later.